Hello and welcome to LedgerCast. My name's Brian Krogsgaard here with Josh Olswich. Hey, Josh.
Oh, those chains.
That's what you got. You got the chains. You know what? It's a great day to be here with you. It's a great day to be here with the listeners. It's a great day to be presented by Matcha. Go to ledgerstatus.com/matcha. Check it out today. You can trade anything in DeFi with deep liquidity. I've been trading a stupid amount of volume through Matcha lately. It's been fantastic. Fees are cheaper than ever, or at least in a really long time. And it's been a pleasure. ledgerstatus.com/matcha. They're our partner because I use it and I like it. Directly from one asset to the other, super simple, straightforward. Take advantage of every liquidity pool. You don't have to pick one. And that's that. Thanks to Matcha. Josh, I'm now showing my own self in dual. Y'all
Picture in picture.
I'm picture in picture with self. Y'all aren't drunk, it's just me.
We didn't get enough ledger in the first picture. We needed a bigger version.
The extra picture. This market is kind of drunk, man. Like,
yeah, not much is really going on. Every single attempt at higher highs has been batted down swiftly.
At least
for BTC.
At the same time, the dumps seem to be weaker and weaker as well. It's just this massive compression.
We are, in fact, consolidating. We are.
Yeah, I have the yearly open at 29K. I have 45K, which is kind of a combo zone. 200-day moving average, 20-week moving average, a weekly close somewhere in the past. That's basically what's on my chart. What are we supposed to do here? I mean, it's gonna do something, right? Surely. Can we just go sideways forever?
No. I like Bollinger Bands as an indicator, but Bollinger Band trades are my least favorite trades because I feel like a lot of the time they're 50-50 or they just don't work out how they should.
When you're trying to do it based on the Bollinger Band squeeze itself.
Right, which is basically any consolidation is technically a Bollinger Band squeeze, but we're about as tight on the Bollinger Band width as we were in October 2020 before we broke out, which is kind of crazy. We haven't, that's just to say, like, price hasn't done anything, you know, what everybody's feeling, but it's a way to quantify it. So it's a very, very low volatility right now, which is odd considering Legacy is mooning
Banging.
Still.
Like, every time I think Legacy is done for, legacy markets are done for, it's just like, we'll just go make a new all-time high instead. You know, they had, you know, in the legacy market, they had like, I don't know, a whole down day. It went down for a whole day. And then guess what? The dip got bought and the weekly continues on. You know, the legacy market has not touched the 20-week moving average since November 2020. It almost got there in March. Had 3 straight kind of down weeks. Not huge, but it has truly been just like straight up and to the right ever since COVID, minus a slight hiccup at the end of 2020 where it consolidated in totally normal fashion and then continued on up. This is the 3rd green week in a row. Just not a lot to be upset about in the legacy market, but crypto can't really seem to track recovery. So
the chart looks fake if I didn't know it was real, you know.
It looks like one of those like cumulative revenue charts if you just like skip the down part, you know. It's just like just a slow move upwards. None down because, you know, you just keep making revenue. But it's ridiculous. I would not have believed it if you told me in like early 2020, because I just thought like, okay, we're not going to make a new high for a long time, you know?
What I don't get is how do people see charts like that and think, man, I really want to get in this market right now.
I think,
you know,
I think the reason is, and to be frank, I guess I do this as well. Like they just average in over time because they're their retirement savings and stuff automatically go in. So there's just this forever bid of DCA forever from 401ks and who knows, all the other institutional accounts. So off you go.
Money printer go bear.
Money. Well, that's not even the money printer. That's just the don't want to be in cash people, right? Their 401k is allocated to a primarily stocks retirement savings account. Parse in the chat said I look 50 right now. I don't know if it's because I have a collar shirt on or glasses or I just look old and tired. Please specify.
Just a combination of
all of the above. Yeah.
Dixie as well still hasn't.
What is this you have drawn? I can't even.
Hasn't broken up.
This is the dollar. Yeah. It's just.
But it looks like it will. I mean, it hit a big couple weeks.
It doesn't look very weak anymore, but like it could very well just go sideways for months too, right? Like there's nothing screaming that the dollar has to go up, especially when you go to a weekly chart. Like, have you noticed that?
Yeah, this is the weekly chart. Yeah, you're right. It could just stay sideways, but
yeah, it could.
I'm just looking for stuff that could move crypto, right? And the legacy isn't doing it. Is the dollar going to do it? Is the VIX going to do it? I don't know. The VIX was at 20 this week. It didn't really do much to crypto.
Yeah, the dollar looks like it could range between 90 and 92 for like another year. I know that sounds absurd, but that's what I see personally. Just doink, 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 doink. There you go. There's a year. That would be unexpected, I think. I think people tend to want like they expect this kind of movement out of the dollar, but why does it have to?
Yeah, I don't know. But the technicals look good for up, so that's troublesome to me. DeFi had a little bit of a week. I don't know. ETH just kind of did nothing as well, right? There's just nothing exciting going on. We're still below the 20 SMA on Bollinger Bands, which is not great. You don't want to consolidate below the 20 with an expectation of bullish breakout. We're still in this volume range. We're still in this macro head and shoulders. We're painting this micro head and shoulders since May 18th. That cannot, if this works out, then the macro one works out, right? And then that's definitely 20K, 100%.
Yeah, if this breaks down with volume, like gets past what's generated nothing but wicks previously, you see that volume profile situation there, like huge gap down to 20K. Maybe it tricks people and stops at 24. Markets sometimes like to do that. If everybody wants 20K, then you can't have 20K type of thing. You either get 24 or 14.
Yeah, that's fair.
But
we cannot lose this range. It would be devastating.
I honestly think going up from here is almost as much of a tricky option, like if everybody just looks at it and like, oh, this is definitely breaking down. It has to go lower. It must go lower. What if it just doesn't? Like it makes it at least ripe for this squeeze to me. Like I just keep thinking we'll see a squeeze up to make it. And honestly, that might be more bearish in the long haul, right? If we don't like go down and end it now, we go like back to 40, 44, something like that. Like maybe it's a longer consolidation before an eventual breakdown. Whereas if you broke down right now, you could just get it over with and start working the way up.
Yeah, which is why that would be better, but not agreeing with the positions I'm currently in. I bought some BTC, bought some ETH, bought a bunch of DeFi over the past couple of weeks. I'm watching this closely. I'm watching the 8-hour as well, but you can just watch. Really, the daily alligator is telling you all you need to know. Until this thing flips bullish, it's hard to be super optimistic. But yeah, I don't have anything good to say really.
Yeah.
We were close to getting this 8-hour breakout on BTC and ETH, and it's still there. It's not like it disappeared. If we get above 35, it's game on, right? That's not that far away.
Well, our title last week though was "Pops are for fading."
Yeah, and that's what happened.
Yeah, that would be So when I was thinking of that, I didn't mean like super localized, but I thought more in the sense of like, if you get a severe pop, like you're looking for the exits still, you know? So like if we broke up from here, you have resistance at 40, you have resistance at like the underside from back here, which lines up with the 200-day, 44. To me, it's like, this is the kind of pop that's for fading. I just don't think there's very much to do right now. The RR risk reward is pretty good. Like if this is a reversal in the narrow sense, it's hard to talk about this long consolidation, but 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. You know, we had 10 days above. Yesterday we closed below it, a daily close below all those 10 days. And now today we're pushing back up into that. So that's a rejection of the push down, you know? So like we're doing the same thing in both directions. We're like failing to bust through. We're failing to fully break down. And people, including myself, like you get scared when it's like down here, it looks like it's about to melt like 10 grand, you know, per Bitcoin. And then it's just like, oh, nope, everybody's out. So I will just, you know, reverse on low volume again. And this is what Nasty Chop does to you. Like it just does this longer than it could possibly be comfortable until eventually it trends, and you got to hope that you can hop on or hop off, whichever is appropriate, prior to that trend coming on in force.
Yeah, I mean, the smart thing to do is trade the breakout in either direction. The dumb thing to do is what I've done and try to front run what I think is going to be a move to 40, 44. But if those Bollinger Bands break down, it's game over. Game over. See you in October, maybe, if we don't just die to zero.
So what's the actual breakdown in your mind? Is it a daily close below 31.5? Is it what is it? That's what I have a hard time figuring out. Because as it compresses, a smaller move looks like a breakout, right? Like it's a breakout of a diagonal maybe, but it's not a higher high or lower low. So where do you think this is like irrecoverably down on a daily closing basis or a weekly closing basis?
Below 31. I think it's literal game over.
Okay.
I don't even think 30 is going to hold. Yeah, 31. So stop loss at 31, target at 42 to 48. I don't know, somewhere up there.
We got one of our regular trolls in the chat. Sorry, Bar, I'm going to block you again. Yes, we block you because you're ridiculous. So, yeah, I could see it.
Because this is still on the cloud on the daily. It's still painting a potential mean reversion. Still saying we're oversold. RSI is starting to recover. MACD is starting to recover. I don't know.
Yeah, there's tons of news still dripping out of China, primarily. Maybe other places. There was some CBDC people, you know, the guy that was talking about wanting to have a digital currency that they could control everything. That's not as much like Bitcoin FUD, more like digital currency gone wrong stuff. But China does still keep having news. Like I don't even know I can't keep up with all of it. It seems to be having less and less of an impact though, which is sometimes a sign of reversal, don't you think?
Yeah, I agree. I just think everybody's just sick of everything right now. Nobody wants to take massive positions in either direction, despite bear whale on Bitfinex.
Yeah,
I think is increasing position sizing.
There's the bear whale on Bitfinex. He's flipping back and forth with hilarious size though, which is stunning to watch. Started in the chat, also brought up the GBTC unlock, which is all through July. But I believe it culminates around July 18th, if I remember correctly. And there's thought that, okay, these people are unlocking, GBTC's at a discount, and they're going to make it even worse because they're going to dump out of that because they can. Off they go. That's one I actually, today, and I can change my mind Monday because this is what I've been doing. I feel like that one could be faded. People act like, okay, GBTC unlocks it at a discount, they're just going to sell. Why would they do that if it just makes it worse for them, you know? Wouldn't it make it better if the price of Bitcoin went up, and they were able to like narrow that discount a little bit, and it ended up not being so terribly bearish, and they could get out more like smoothly. Isn't that just as likely of an outcome?
Yeah, I think they're just stuck until they become an ETF. And if they don't, they're just perpetually forever stuck. I don't think there's anything good that they can do.
Well, you just can hedge out your risks somewhere else, but it doesn't make sense to sell it at a significant discount, like 12%. Now, I could understand a few percent because there's a 2% carry fee for that product every year. So there is a cost to doing business with Grayscale, but selling at a 12% discount doesn't really make sense if you have opportunities to do a lot of other stuff. Altcoin Cowboy in the chat asked, do we post streams on YouTube after? The answer is yes. This is actually available on YouTube and on your favorite audio platforms if you search for Ledgercast on audio. And if you just go to youtube.com/ledgerstatus, the YouTube videos show up there. Thanks for asking, Altcoin Cowboy. Because if we never get that in for the chat as well, or for the audio version as well, for people that might want to see some of these charts that we reference. Josh and I try to talk about this stuff as if it's audio only, but it's, sometimes nice to be able to look with the video as well. Yeah, so the unlocks, I actually know some people in this trade, and they're unlocking this month. And they told me, they were like...
Are they terrified?
No, they're just like... I have no incentive to sell it. Like, why would I sell it? A lot of these people, like some people are delta neutral only in crypto, but a lot of people, if they're going to go do the Grayscale type of trade, they are not delta neutral. They're willing to carry risk. So if you're going to carry risk and you're not, it makes no sense to like liquidate your Bitcoin that is at a 12% discount versus liquidate your Bitcoin that you can liquidate with no discount whatsoever. So if you're going to carry some risk, that's probably the first risk you would want to carry, at least in the sense of maybe like 6 months or 12 or something like that. Not 5 years where you have that 2% fee, but most people they're more aggressive traders than that, right?
Yeah.
So this is my personal opinion, my personal call, Josh. Tell me if you think.
All right. I should counter trade it?
Yeah, counter trade it just like all
counter fade it.
Yeah. My call is that GBTC unlocks are going to be a big bag of nothing this month.
All right. I sure hope so.
The chat asks you if you are in log right now, Johnny.
Always. Log forever.
Always in log. It looks a lot worse if you go out of log.
The reason is log, non-log. How do you even chart this, right? Like, it doesn't make any sense.
Hold on. Leave yours there.
My lizard brain can't comprehend that, right?
Yeah.
You have to.
When linear is most valuable to me is when I'm like euphoric and I'm wondering, is this normal? And then you put it in linear and you see this kind of stuff, and this kind of stuff is like, no, this is not normal. Like, this is an absurdity. There was one that was a really good example of that. You could probably go hunt the clip on a previous show. It was Matic. You remember when we talked about this? Like, Matic is one of those where you cannot in linear even see it on the chart. All of 2020, Matic looks like it was at 0, and then it turned into something with a price. If you turn it on log, you can at least see that there was something there. It still looks extreme, but it doesn't look like 0. But it went from 2 cents to $2. That is a big move. That is a 100x, right?
Sure.
2 cents to $2.
I got lambasted for getting some simple math wrong, so I'm just going to perpetually get it wrong forever on purpose.
So yeah, log helps especially when you have these like from 0 type of moves. So like Bitcoin from 2011, obviously you need log to look at it whatsoever. Sometimes though, if you want to see like how extreme something was, like you could do the same thing with Doge that I just did with Matic. It helps put life in a little bit of perspective, in my opinion. Here, I'll show you the Doge BTC.
That's fair.
Because here's Doge BTC weekly, and you're like, when is this dump going to end? And then you look at it relative to years and years of, prices that were far lower. Like, these prices used to matter. Like, the difference between this and this is a lot, except for you can't tell now because it went up so very much. But if I skip what we just ran into, this was the most cyclical coin ever, and it just always stayed in its BTC relative range until you get to 2021 and the era of Elon Musk, and then you just have to keep changing changing the y-axis because it's insane. And they're like, oh, when will it stop dumping? Dude, the people that are still holding, let's say you bought it before the breakout, they're still up more than 2,000% versus BTC. Doge is still on the moon. It's still on the moon, and it's one of the worst looking BTC relative charts that I've ever seen.
Miners are still printing 3 million a day on Doge. So keep that in mind if you're holding Doge here.
Because they can just keep dumping it on you.
Right. They're going to just dump forever.
Yeah.
The last thing I'll say about BTC is anything below 19 is a win. 19.6. We'll say an even 20. If anything gets below there, everything in my body is telling me to buy below 20.
Just
so that's what I'll be doing. DCA forever below 20. Yeah.
People laugh at us when we say that. We said very similar things under 5K last time, and people mocked us kind of both directions. And it was like, look, it just depends on your timeline. And we were proven right on that, naturally. And, it depends on your lens, right? And it's
time in the market beats timing the market. You see?
Oh, Josh. Is that whose quote is that? Is that
I don't know.
A wise man once said.
It's not my quote.
I'm gonna have to look it up because we need to give them credit. Time in the market beats timing the market. It's good content telling people what I'm typing. Well, Merrill Edge said something kind of similar. Okay, this doesn't seem well cited. It's not immediately it says who said it first. So we'll go with Merrill Edge, whoever that is. And that's just a website. Nope, we don't know who said it.
But yeah, 20K would be the 2-year MA. It would be the bottom of the pitchfork. It would be a buy zone in the Puel multiple, buy zone in MVRV. I mean, what else do you want? What else do you want? That's what I want to know. That's all I have to say about BTC. Just kind of sick of looking at it till it does something. ETH looked better than BTC, but it didn't do anything,
Yeah, from a pure chart perspective, ETH looks like the type of reversal I'd prefer to buy. It kind of has a curl to it. Well, not when you look at it like that.
Sorry, I was trying to... ETH, if BTC goes to 40 or 44, ETH is going to go to 3 at least. That's why, again, the risk reward here is good. Is it going to happen? I don't know.
If BTC goes to 40, ETH goes to what?
3.
Yeah. And that's essentially my DeFi reflexivity trade that I've been talking about some, is the same concept except for specific to DeFi pairs. That what's harder to do, right? Is it ETH to 3K or is it sushi to 11 or $12 from 8? That trade seems simpler, so that if we go up, then that's the reflexivity trade.
Yeah, I mean, my whole thing is, look, Comp, Bell, SNX, all these charts went up to their mean reversions. Comp is bullish again. Maybe it's based on news. I don't know, but
it's the 4% yield thing is partly what's driving it.
The fact that those things did that show me that other stuff can do it too. Doesn't mean it's gonna happen. It just says, hey, this is a possibility. It makes sense. That's what the mean reversion targets are for BTC and ETH. Sushi, I said 14, which would be that mean reversion. If it's on this chart, maybe not.
For me, the 12 was just about the resistance from the 200-day moving average.
14 is the cloud and the Kijun on Sushi. I mean, every single DeFi chart looks like this that hasn't moved up yet.
If Sushi goes to $14, I will probably have not held it that whole time. But number 2, I'd be euphoric. What's the bottom side of that cloud? If it just went, yeah, that's
12.
Yeah, so that's where the 200-day is as well. So that's a result that would be more bearish on the trend. Like it doesn't get to the Kijun, it bounces off the cloud itself, bounces off the 200. But it is a mean reversion retest, and it's a 50% gain from here. Like, you know, here's the thing: if we get positive moves, we are not. You know, the air is not like that Matic chart, 2 cents to $2. It's a 50% move is very rare in traditional markets, but it happens frequently, even in bear markets in crypto. So if you can seek those opportunities and be happy with more limited gains and fixed risk, then that is something that you can actually do and still succeed because you're not seeking the moon all the time. Sometimes you're just seeking a little bit of relief, you know, a little bit of something to get you through, to get your volatility fix. So yeah, what time frame are we looking at now? 12 hour?
Yeah, it's a 12-hour. I mean, it went down 70% in 10 days, 5 days. So yeah, it can certainly go up 50% in 2 weeks. This was another reason why I liked it to 14. Same thing as the daily, basically just showing that edge to edge move. And every single DeFi chart looks like this. That's why I even bought ZRX, even though I think fundamentally it's a worthless token. It's got this, you can't deny this chart setup, this trade, right? Yeah. It looks good. ZRX to $1.30, $1.35, somewhere in there.
Do you remember me talking about ZRX to $1.15 and you said no?
Yeah, I remember. I still think it's better priced at sub 35 cents, but I'm not going to deny what I'm seeing on the chart here, right? Like,
yeah,
I may be stupid, but I'm not dumb.
Rational Gambler says it's a high risk play, in my opinion, against the trend, unless you already have a godlike entry. I think there's 2 ways. One, you can go for the good entry, like try to snipe a low time frame entry that you're happy with, where you have a fixed risk of downside. And then 2 is just have somewhere where you're invalidated that you can say no. You know, for me, I like on this sushi trade as an example, there's a couple of places that I could look at, but the easy one is just clearing like a prior daily high versus maybe a current daily low or a moving average, something like that. So now this is a decent range here. So 660 is that for sushi. It's at 832 right now. So from a percentage perspective, if you were to buy it right this moment, which is not what I'm telling you to do, that's about 8% downside to get a daily close below the 20 and below this current daily candle. A tighter stop might be just a daily close below a prior daily close, so like 788. So you find somewhere where you're happy to get out and feel comfortable with the risk that you took. But on the flip side of that, you're looking for, you know, what's my upside? So if we use the larger drawdown of, say, let's say we enter right this moment, which I'm not doing, but that's about an 8% drawdown. If you go to the prior highs, that's about an 18% move up. So you're looking at about, 2 to 1 on your risk profile there. If you get all the way back up to where we were talking about, let's say $12 for even numbers, back to the 200-day moving average, that's more like 5.5 to 1 on your reward versus your risk with that 8% risk. Now, you only have to be right on these. What's that, Josh? Maybe 25% of the time to win, something like that. So I think that it just depends on how you do the math on them. And you can choose to cut this at any time you want, or you can play it with these very hard parameters and, you stop out and take profit exactly at that, and you do nothing else until it comes to time. That's all up to you. But I like to go in with a framework of like, what am I seeking? Where am I invalidated? And then you can reanalyze this trade. Like, let's say you do get to here and it's like, all right, well now where should my stop be? And where should my target be? is this still a good trade? And you determine whether it's still a good trade. If it's still a good trade, you can stay in. If the trade is now kind of sucky, like let's say you get almost to your target, but your stop, it gets down here, and now it's a bad trade if you're entering it today. I think in general, if you could enter the trade at a given time and it still looks like a good risk reward, then that tells you where could your stop be, where could your take profit be, and is this worth being in? That's not like a super hard science. Each trader is different. Now, so for some people, it's like totally like, this is the rule set, this is what I do, this is where I go. I'm not quite like that. I'm a little softer about it. Maybe that's to my detriment, but
softer like the Pillsbury Doughboy.
That's right. So it's a rational gambler. Good question, and I think fair point. But that's how I try to manage my risk. And, for me, it works.
One thing you can do for trailing stop losses, which is basically what you're getting to, is you can use those fractals. Williams fractals is what they're called on TradingView. And here's comp, for example. This is something that's mooned. It's on the 12-hour. And this hasn't printed a red fractal since down here, which would be 308. So it's telling you to stay in this entire time. It's going to print another fractal right here. So and that's going to be your new stop.
Where's your new stop?
386. 386. It's going to be your new stop, which intuitively is, if you're just paying attention to how we're making higher highs or lower lows, you know that, like, you feel it. You feel it in your bones. If this breaks this low, then it's, it's certainly different than it was on the way up.
Yeah. So this is one where I said I was going to use it as a bit of a proxy on potentially re-entering the DeFi trade. And I had drawn this kind of sine wave type of thing back when it was up here, because I had taken profit on it. I don't know, some below 500, some above 500. But I was in from like the lows, like the 220s. This was my best trade in months. I actually re-entered this at 395 last night. What actually encouraged me to do this, it was I wanted to see it reclaim the 200-day moving average on the daily time frame. These aren't perfect. They wick through them and all that. But in general, if you have a system for trend following that works for you, then go for it. So for me, the time to risk off was as it was approaching the 200-day, and then it blasted through it, so I'd risked off some more, and then on a retest, you could risk back on. What actually made me enter at 395 is something that Cred said yesterday on Up Only, which was sometimes the best part of the trade is when your trade is not invalidated, so like you're seeking confirmation. So an expression of what he was advising was intraday, you could enter when it looks terrible, but it's not actually confirmed terrible on your daily signal. So if your daily signal is to buy the 200, well, this daily was not closed. And in fact, the daily was quite young and it was well under the 200-day moving average. And it looked like it might be reversing on low time frames. I don't know what I was looking at, like 30 minute or something. So I actually bought at 395 or 394, somewhere around there, because I was like, well, this is not ruled out for my plan on the daily. So I'm going to buy it on the intraday. And actually what I got out of that was a really nice buffer of about 5%. So I could be invalidated on my 200-day retest plan by 5% and still be in profit. So I really liked the way he talked about that. Like, planning, having to have absolute confirmation versus being able to trade within the lower time frames prior to the higher time frame triggers being a total confirmation. It's almost like buying at your stop, So anyway, I thought that was clever, and I thought I'd pass it along. I think I did so poorly, but I tried. So this is a trade that I'm in, and now I feel like I have a decent line of safety to be able to sit on this until I'm invalidated or proven correct.
That makes sense to me. That's fair. Keep buying until you hit your stop. You're basically just like DCAing in. Back to ETH real quick. The other thing that I liked was the 12-hour. Just like every other DeFi coin, because ETH is still an altcoin. Don't tell some people, they'll get angry if I said that. Is that level 3K, right? We poked into the cloud. We didn't have a bullish TK cross yet. Now we have a bullish TK cross. If we poke back in again, I think she's got some room.
As it stands, that just pure cloud view kind of freaks me out a little. Like,
why?
It's a mixed signal. Like, it tells you to wait, basically. It doesn't. It's not telling you to be in right this moment, is it?
It tells me to wait, but it also tells me get ready. I mean, the bullish TK is good. What you don't want to see is lower lows, right? Lower lows. If we drop below 2K again, that's not good. We did have an Adam and Eve down here previously, or just like a W, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know, man. I don't know. If we break 2K on ETH and 31 on BTC, I just don't think we've got it in the tank to hold that.
If you have that third equal low, that's a little freaky, right? It starts feeling like a descending triangle. Like you keep trying to buffer a round number. There's still bear cases to be made out here. I'm not saying that we are bullish. I mean, our last week we literally titled it "Pops are for fading." We're just trying to identify, like, is sell pressure waning, basically, right? Like, we're not trying to be geniuses here.
Even if I was looking for shorts, I would not have shorted this into the cloud. Like, that's just not what I do. Some people were pointing out, like, this rising wedge thing the other day, and sure, I mean, yeah, we broke down, but I don't know. Like, I'm looking at the higher time frames with more weight than this rising wedge stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm still optimistic. I'm also a realist. If this breaks lows, then it's gonna get ugly.
Yeah. Somebody said synthetics has been insane recently. It's up 23% today. So I actually played almost the exact lows on this one. Not precisely, but like in the sixes and then more below 8 before it broke out. And I caught most of the first move, but then now I've completely missed this today. My thesis on this, and it shows on the chart for anybody that's looking, was basically just take profit somewhere in this one giant daily breakdown candle. Like, it's just going to get back somewhere in that zone. I don't know where you take the profit, but the 200-day moving average would be getting all the way back to $15. So my point then was it was retesting 2020 levels where it broke out from, and say if you got in at somewhere in the middle of that, 650 to 15 is like 144%. These are just large for a mean reversion, bearish retest, whatever you want to call it. Certainly not confirmation of new highs or trend or anything like that. Well, it is a confirmation of trend reversal, but it's certainly not new highs. That's a gigantic move. Like, these just, people capitulated them. That's all there is to it.
Well, it's more than that. They got forcibly liquidated because it's single collateral loans. So if price goes down and you don't add collateral, which is also quickly diminishing in value, you get liquidated, and that pushes price down further. It's a literal on-chain waterfall cascade. Yeah,
and that's what I bought the blood of, I guess. So maybe that was a little bit dangerous, but it looked done, and there was also. And I don't know if this was plunge protection team stuff, but it doesn't look like it now because the surge volume is now really high. But prior to that volume, the volume at the very bottom was starting to interest me because it seemed like there was some demand here. Now it looks puny compared to what we've seen since on the trend reversal, because that's how it always is, right? The actual reversal comes in with significant volume, but yeah, I mean, now look at Sushi, it looks fine. Like, it's at a resistance again now. Like, this can consolidate now here between 10 and 12, and it wouldn't surprise me.
SNX, you mean?
Yeah, SNX.
Yeah. People are looking at saying, this is a cup and handle, let's go.
Or it could just end up being some kind of giant ranging pennant and take a lot longer to do the thing. I don't know which. If I was in it, I'd probably hold it, but since I got out of it, I'm not seeking to jump back in that right now. And what I enjoyed about the first round of all these rotations is that they didn't all go at once, you know, like playing comp, Aave, sushi, synthetics, like you could bounce around these, balancer, Wi-Fi even a little bit. It was a little weaker. You could bounce around them a bit and kind of play them in those mid time frame setups as they appear, and you don't have to do all of them at once. And if you get lucky and time them decently, it could be rewarding.
Yeah, I agree. DeFi had a decent week. Bunch of crazy bounces still to go, I think, if we don't sell off everywhere.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. I want to look at the ETH 20 week in a minute. But first, Watch the Flows asked, do we have any thoughts on Solana? Sam has started getting in Elon's tweets about the fast and lightweight narrative. And then to complement that, I guess Elon Musk has also been talking about like Doge iterating. So it's going to be really funny if Doge ends up like changing itself and becomes proof of stake with a smart contract platform or whatever. I actually think Shiba is doing that, which is funny. But it's like these dog coins, they're now with their bag holders, like trying to figure out what they're going to do. Find it.
Anytime billionaires are involved, I get a little nervous.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anytime venture capital is involved, I get a little nervous.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't like Solana. I don't like DOT. I don't like anything new. I don't like Avalanche.
I like
EOS
Solana
is garbage.
better. I like Solana
Dump it all to zero.
DOT, purely from a relative market cap perspective. Like EOS, Block One put a ton of their money into this Bullish. That's the name of the thing. Bullish public listing through a SPAC. I don't know if you saw that. It's worth $9 billion, but it's because Block One put $6 billion, which is leftovers of the EOS token sale, into it. So now they're going public and trying to Ponzi their bags even more.
Just put them in jail. Just get them out of here.
I know. So I don't like EOS for sure. Solana I find more interesting just because from a purely fully diluted value perspective, it's much, much lower than, say, EOS. So like if you could do a pair trade, it would be short EOS, long Solana, right? But that doesn't necessarily mean you like super bullish Solana outright. All right, so ETH, the daily, very close to the 200-day moving average, which is right at $2,000. We're just over the 20 at 2,100. One thing I wanted to note, you know, I've talked a ton on this show about the 20-week being kind of a end-all, be-all guide of continue the run or get rejected, etc. For me, a good macro trend following opportunity. It retested it right on the 2,300 last week. So it would help, in my personal opinion, if ETH could get back over 2,300 on this weekly close. That would give me a lot more confidence in this push up. That's kind of the thing I'm going to be looking at over the next couple of days is how does this respond with the weekly close and relative to that 20-week moving average? Because I do think it's not necessarily like, oh, this is some magic number at the 20-week moving average. It's just that it's another hint that volatility awaits as this decides, especially when you combine that with this kind of combined condensing between all the other moving averages, right? The 20, the 200, I'm sure the 50 and the 100 are in there as well. All tightening up during this consolidation, Bollinger Bands squeezing, etc. Volatility probably soon.
Yeah, losing that 20 weeks not good for sure. On ETH, and I've said it for weeks, but $600 ETH is a very real possibility if we break down.
Boo! Boo! Oh,
and on Kraken, that may mean 2-digit ETH, right? Like a wick to 2 digits.
Sir.
I'm just saying. You heard it here first, folks.
The chat and myself are all coping.
That's 600. Like if we get, this is the rationale for this. It's not unlike the 33K by July rationale, to be honest. But if we get back into this pitchfork in a real way, 600 is both the bottom of, or it's 700 now. Sorry.
Sorry, I was supposed to look at
let's say 800.
You're justifying this with your chart, which I was rudely not showing. I was just coping with the rest of the chat.
we'll say 800 now that it's moved a little bit, but all right, 800. That's my firm number. That's the median line of this pitchfork.
That's if it goes down, like nothing elevator down, nothing but down right this moment. Over time, that line is going to be like 1250 or something. Over the course of like a bear market, the line keeps going up.
Here's the thing, Brian. If Bitcoin breaks 31, we're going to 20, and if Bitcoin goes to 20, ETH is going to 600. I don't make the rules, okay? That's just what's going to happen. That's just what's going to happen.
Not happening.
This is the ETH's 2-year MA multiplier. Or sorry, 2-year MA is 735. The pitchfork midline is at 800. That's where I get more of a buyer than a seller at that level. You know, if we don't do anything up here, I'm not touching this thing unless I have a really good reason to do so until it's back at 800.
I tell you what, I will buy $1,000 ETH all day. Okay, and I'll bag hold it.
That's probably going to be
I'll bag hold it. Don't care.
Probably going to be a great price. It won't be the best price, but it'll be a great price.
Yeah.
I mean, this alone, like, doesn't give me bullish vibes, right? Just like Eiffel Towering stuff. Again, we haven't made higher highs really since we broke down, you know? So it's becoming do or die very quickly for me.
I agree. I mean, if it loses some of those levels and starts being more like descending triangle-ish than, you know, curling bottom-ish, then that's possible. The stock market refuses to die, dude, and I just think the risk profile is going to increase as people feel safer. But yeah, the volatile dude in the chat said Eiffel Tower trade for the win. It does tend to be like work well. Did we already Eiffel Tower though? Like, is the Eiffel Tower, was that the 2000 and up trade, or is it the 600 and up trade? Which one's the real Eiffel Tower?
Eiffel Tower back to $68. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, just send it back to $11. You know, like when it listed on Coinbase in 2016.
I mean, that's the real Eiffel Tower, right? Back to the Corona low.
What was the Corona low on ETH? Like $100.
Stamp, it was 89, I think.
Wow, now that's a life-changing trade. If you just like went all in on ETH, sub 100.
I mean, it's still up 2,000%. You make fun of Doge being up 2,000%. ETH is still up 2,000%.
Yep. ETH has a lot better value.
Well, you know, I'm just saying they're similar charts. But yeah, I like
Josh,
800.
we started this chat with some bullish hopium, and you're like getting
I'm long, okay?
Progressively more depressing.
I took a trade on my personal account for the first time in weeks. I've been adding longs on Enzyme. You know, I'm ready to love again, Brian. But if it doesn't work out, I'm also realistic. And if we break lows, it's gonna get ugly. It's gonna get really, really ugly.
Yep. Probably still fading those pops, but I don't know. I feel like the Bears are have the potential to be more offsides than the Bulls right now. That's kind of
offside. That's how I say it in Alabama.
Offsides. Yeah, that's my general thought.
Bitfinex longs are still all-time high. That's another worrisome thing for me.
And there's this one person on Bitfinex that just keeps like swinging their position back and forth.
This guy, whoever's going short, back and forth over and over again.
Yeah. But yeah, that number of longs is very high.
Yeah, I don't know if that's miners hedging or people moving off of Binance onto Bitfinex. I have no idea. That's a bit bizarre to me.
Yeah, I don't know. I try not to pay that much attention to the Bitfinex whales. It's like 5 people. You know?
Yeah, that's fair. ETH, it doesn't look as bad, but there's still a pretty significant long presence on ETH on Bitfinex.
Yeah, I mean, I think we're gonna break out one way or the other. I don't know which way. It's just this.
Wow, guys, look,
I know,
listeners,
up or down.
We're gonna break out.
I have at this moment a bullish bias. Like I said, I've changed my mind like 4 times this week. I think Mr. Mello says it right, up or down, but real fast, right? Like once it breaks, like everybody's gonna freak out and jump, and there you go.
That is, Mr. Mello is dead on the money. I agree with that. Right now, my personal money is on long. Enzyme money's on long. So
I am at this very moment, but what I am tonight could be very different. I don't know. Like I'm so indecisive. I just wanted to choose. Do you remember when we consolidated at 6K for so long and then we broke down and it was kind of a relief? It was like, just do something, you know, like just, I don't even care. I can show the chat where that was. Like if y'all weren't in crypto yet, back here in October, November 2018, as we just compressed more and more and more and more and more. I mean, this is a weekly chart. This is a very long time. When we finally broke down, it was almost a relief. And it just, on that weekly close, Josh, you remember this, like, it just did this weekly close. It was like, well, guess it's over. You know, like, it's just a very definitive, horrendous candle. And you're like, all right, well, okay, we have our answer. You know, we're sitting here at $5,500 below the breakdown of a level that we tried to defend for 8 months or something, and further if you go back to the first time it touched. It was at least something. But
there, even the news catalysts were clear. Like we had the BCH civil war, we had Tether FUD, which was actually very legitimate, and then we had legacy markets breaking down.
Yeah, I'm just saying how much of a relief it is when the trend just decides, you know.
Yeah.
But what's interesting, even in that scenario, after a 2-year consolidation, like downward consolidation, but when it finally broke that consolidation, the vast majority of the move was in 2 weeks, you know?
Yeah, because everybody knew what to do.
Yeah, it's like, all right, well, it cut itself in half, so we'll start buying the dip. And then it punished them a little bit here, but honestly, the difference from here to here for long-term people wasn't that big. And then it just chewed through these people this is the capitulation after the fact type of stuff, you know, like stronger hands collecting, and then off you go in the longer recovery. Yeah. So I don't know, just from an emotional standpoint, it's worth remembering what it felt like back then. And,
oh yeah, this is nothing compared to that. This could get a lot worse sideways wise. Hopefully not. Well, but you can play other stuff like DeFi, like we were talking about. You know, you don't have to bang your head against the wall, flipping your position every 5 minutes on BTC and ETH, and you can just look at other stuff.
Yeah. And so far we're on about 7 weeks of consolidation after the breakdown from 64. And in that scenario, you know, from 58 to 29 was 2 weeks, you know, on the lows, and it was at 34 on a closing basis, and it's basically been there ever since. So that's 7 weeks of this. It wouldn't be that insane if we just kept crabbing in the long-term sense, but on the daily, we're gonna go wick this up or down pretty hard somehow. Yeah, I just look at I can't stop looking at these 40Ks and thinking there's something up here, you know.
That's fair. Hey, my money would be happy. Here's a very remote possibility. Okay, on ETH and some of this DeFi stuff. Let's say this morphs into an inverted head and shoulders, and we break out in Q4. Let's just say EIP 1559 is successful. Everybody loves it. It takes over. It's a triple halving, ultrasound money, blah, blah, blah. Right? Like, that is my most bullish hopium that I can think about. Because that would solve us going to 3K. It would solve us getting smacked down there for ETH. This would look like a hot mess, but I can see it. You know, I really can see it.
Layer 2s, 1559. All the ETH people win.
It's a giant if this then that. I hope the meth heads lose, so I hope it goes to 800. But you know,
let's finish the one more thing, the MEV thing. So miner extracted value is what MEV stands for, and there's all this stuff going around about. Well, miner extracted value is a huge deal, right? Like it's just, it's basically cream off the top of Ethereum transactions, where miners, arbitrageurs, and participants in the dark forest, that's kind of what that area is called, do stuff to capture fluff from the chain, from the blockchain transactions. That can be sandwich attacking, on-chain trades, and a bunch of other stuff. And there's a lot of attempts at solutions to get around it. And there's someone named Edgar that's, I don't know, apparently doing some kind of crazy stuff where working with miners to like reorganize transactions at the block level to essentially capture that MEV and miner extracted value. And there's a lot of potential FUD or whatever else around it. I don't really know the specifics of this one, but miner extracted value and MEV issues are going to be a huge deal as more and more financial activity actually occurs on the Ethereum chain. And solutions for fixing it are like making it more equitable, I guess, for actual users of the chain. So keep an eye on that concept. There's like a whole group of hundreds of, people that are deep into that world on Twitter. I actually followed an MEV Twitter list recently. I can try to find the link for it and share it because I just wanted to keep up with it better. And I paid some attention to it. It all moves so fast. There's a ton going on there, like people trying to outsmart one another. Apparently this Edgar guy thinks Plor is trying to reorg the chain entirely, not just individual transactions. So like reorganize blocks for whatever justification, like a liquidation or something. Which
I hope they try, because ultimately if they try and fail, that makes ETH stronger.
Wow, you want ETH to be stronger?
I don't want it to, but let's be real. Like,
you want the numbers to go up.
I want number go up, baby. Let's go.
All right, we'll leave it there. Thanks everybody for joining us. Y'all have a great day. Appreciate you. You can find notes and everything on ledgerstatus.com. Subscribe to all the places. We'll be here for the after show. Bye-bye. Monuments crumble. Oh, and if you want to trade on chain, do it at ledgerstatus.com/matcha. Mekin in the chat says the Flashbot Discord is a great place to learn about MEV. In a house of cards, I feel the breeze, wound so tight, I can barely breathe.